guys, welcome back to the studio. I'm back, Kathleen, and I'm here with Shyama Golden, our next awesome illustrator. Shyama, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am an illustrator, but I actually formally studied graphic design I practiced that for a decade, so that was what I did for most of my career.
What a story.
Yeah, and more recently I've transitioned into becoming more of an illustrator / artist, which I always was, but now I'm just making it official.
Yeah. Wow. I had no idea that you did graphic design for so long.
Yeah.
So how does that kind of integrate into these new illustrations that you've been working on?
I think it informs it a lot, actually, because a lot of illustration needs to live well within design. Mm-hmm. So, like, having an understanding of design makes it easy for me to collaborate with art directors and stuff.
Yeah, you kind of know their lingo. You know what they're looking for. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, we are really focusing on the mobile apps this week, specifically Sketch and Draw. Which one are you going to use?
I don't even know yet.
No?
Because I've in the past I've used Illustrator a lot as well as Photoshop. Mm-hmm. So like the whole vector workflow and Raster are both very natural to me, so I could go either way with it.
Right.
I thought it would be cool to discuss like why we might use one or the other, because I think that's a question a lot of people have.
Yeah, and it's interesting because with Sketch and Draw, you're drawing in both of them, whereas if you're using Illustrator, you might not be drawing so much. You could be using the pen tool or building with shapes. So it's kind of interesting. We're drawing in both, just getting different outputs.
Yeah, and I used to use the blob brush tool in Illustrator, which is basically a lot like the tool in Adobe Draw.
Right,
so.
Yeah. I use Photoshop all the time, but when I do use Illustrator, it's the blob brush tool. Because it's the closest native cousin, kind of. Cool. Hello from South Texas. Welcome. And if you guys are just tuning in, we have 3 days of awesome mobile illustration with lots of awesome illustrators. Shyama is not the only one. So we're also running a contest while we're going to be working for these 3 days. If you guys want to draw along with us using Sketch or Draw, you can send us your illustrations that are based on the theme of summer on Twitter or Instagram with the hashtag Adobe Live, and you might win a Creative Cloud subscription, which is amazing, and also a bunch of stock photos that you can use as reference. Cool. Welcome, April. Oh, you were here this morning. Welcome back. Very cool. So let's see what you're working on right now.
Okay.
What you got going on over there?
Is it showing up yet on
Not yet. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Wrong screen. But that's like some of the reference images.
Yeah, super important to have reference. That's what we were working on this morning too.
Yeah, I always do. I mean, this photo was actually... Okay, we switched over. The photo that was on the left was actually a bathroom that I took a picture of a photo when I visited Sri Lanka, and there was like this amazing bathroom at the guest house we stayed at.
Wow.
And
those live plants?
Yeah.
In the bathroom?
It was just like covered in plants, and I thought it would be cool to make a pattern that could give you that feeling, you know, because I think people feel good when they're around things that, even if they just look like plants, just the vibe of plants.
Totally
can be good.
True.
So, I mean, the idea of the pattern I'm going to do today is something that could be made into a wallpaper. But I mean, it could have many other applications too, but wallpaper specifically is something I'm interested in. So.
Very cool. I wish wallpaper was more popular. Like, again.
Oh, it's totally coming back.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's so cool. It's just illustration everywhere.
Yeah.
Sweet. Hey, Coco, what's up? Mads loves the color palettes in your portfolio.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool. Do you have like a specific way that you pick color palettes, or does it just come naturally to you?
No, nothing comes naturally. Everything is hard work.
Everything is hard.
There's no magic, really. Like,
that's true. There is not.
Yeah, I mean, something I've always done is steal color palettes, because that's something you can just copy directly, and it's totally okay to do that.
Just colors.
Yeah, it's just colors, and you can steal it from like a movie still, from a random photo you saw somewhere, from any genre. It doesn't have to be from another, illustration. It could be from, paintings like old masters or anyone. Like, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel with that stuff. If you find colors you like, you can just steal that palette from something really easily. And I collect, color inspiration in a folder on my computer as well, just like when I'm not sure what color scheme's gonna work with something, I'll kind of look through that and get inspiration for it.
Yeah, I find that I get really inspired by other people's work, but I always end up going just to red, yellow, and blue. I don't know why. It's
It
like
balances.
maybe it's like the primary colors, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm not a kindergartner. Like, why do I like these colors so much?
No, but that's your style. I think the colors you're drawn to end up being part of your style too.
Yeah, like people will know you for those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's saying super allowed to steal palettes. Stealing.
I'm giving you
Colors are
permission.
colors. Yeah, Shyama, seal of approval. Chuck says it's all about experimentation. Totally. I think on the last stream, Sophia and Alice were talking about like, you can't force your own style to like come into fruition. You can't force really anything when it comes to art. You just kind of got to give yourself the time.
Yeah, definitely.
To struggle through, because Shyama said it's not easy. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think people might look at something I do and think it's easy, but really, like, everything, most of the stuff on my website, like, now I track the time on it, it's like 40 hours of work, you know, something like that. And that's over weeks of time, too.
Totally.
And a lot of research, a lot of, like, going back and undoing things and redoing things and things not working. And, I mean, there's a lot of that you don't even see.
Yeah,
so.
when I looked at your portfolio, the last thing I thought was, oh, this looks pretty easy. It's, like, fully rendered, beautiful paintings with motion. Wow. Don't even know. Yeah, the background, you can see. Doesn't look very easy to me. Looks like a wallpaper though. Like I would like
that's
this
cool.
to
This is the first time I've seen it like as a backdrop, and it's cool.
This is how it was meant to be.
Yeah, definitely.
So cool. Mad says, I guess I'm going color palette hunting. Totally.
Yeah, you can steal my color palettes too. You totally have permission to do that.
They're stolen in the first place. I love how Scott was like, steal, borrow, be inspired by. Tomato.
I mean, there's just certain things that you shouldn't steal, but like colors are one thing that, you know, it's like completely open source.
Yeah, there's actually an awesome Adobe mobile app. It's called Capture, and you can literally like have your phone out, take a picture, and it'll grab the colors from wherever you are and make a really beautiful and balanced color palette. Like it won't just grab random colors. It'll be like, oh, here's a dark, here's a light, here's a mid-tone. It's really highly recommended. My favorite mobile app after Sketch.
It's cool. I got to try it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to make it on mobile.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very cool. You were there just last week?
Yeah.
Wow. Tell us about that.
Well, what I liked with, I think it was the Capture app, that you can make your own brushes.
Yes.
So like we went on a photo walk and took pictures of a bunch of things, and one of them was like flowers, and then I made that into a brush that you could like paint letters with these flowers. I don't know if I still have it somewhere.
Yeah,
but,
show us if you do.
yeah, will it just be here? I don't know. Oh, you know what? That was on a different iPad, so it's not going to be on.
So many iPads. I know Rob was walking around here with like 4 in his arms. Like, where do I put these down? Jel says that they have one of your screen prints that says talent isn't much without passion.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was something I did a long time ago, and
That's so cool.
Still means a lot to me.
April, I love how to make from Adobe Capture. Yes, me too. I like just being able to make my own tools.
Yeah.
And Adobe Capture really lets you do that. Wow, Sebastian says you have one of the best portfolio sites he's ever seen.
Wow.
Oh, just take a moment.
Well, it is done in Adobe My Portfolio, so I should give credit.
Yeah, that's totally an opportunity to plug that. I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you have a subscription to Creative Cloud, you can have a free portfolio site through Behance. It's like, they're beautiful. I used to have Squarespace, and now I just use Behance portfolios because it's just as good.
Yeah, it was really super easy. I did it in like a day. Just like, well, one thing I really liked about it is the mobile site is really good.
Oh yeah.
So you can still zoom in to the work on mobile.
Oh, nice.
I think some of the Squarespace ones you couldn't zoom in. And that's like a huge thing. Like everyone wants to zoom into my work because it's so detailed, especially on the phone. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, hopefully it keeps a good quality too.
Yeah, it does.
That's awesome. Kyle asks, what's the background image from? Is it Surface designed by Shyama?
Yes, it is. That was a pattern I did for Apple. They wanted to just show off what the Apple Pencil could do.
Oh, wow.
And so the whole idea just like escalated, and it got like so detailed.
Yeah. I feel like it wasn't meant to be this way.
Yeah, I was just like glued to the iPad drawing for so many hours on that, but I love how it turned out. And actually it's an animation too. If you go to my website, that you can see the animation. It's a subtle. It was all drawn frame by frame too on the iPad.
Right. Are you able to go to your website? Are you connected to the internet?
Oh yeah, I could pull it up.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sure people would love to see what you've got done. How did you animate the kiwi?
I drew frame by frame, like layers.
No way.
Yeah, and then I brought it in. Well, I mean, depending on what it was, I did the one for Apple, like on the iPad. Mm-hmm. You know, there's an animation app on there that you can just like bring in all the still frames and stitch it together.
Oh, cool.
But to make the GIF, I did that in Photoshop.
Okay.
I just brought it in
I
like
was
the
wondering,
timeline.
actually, when I saw your animated work, I was like, is that frame by frame? Because it is so
Yeah.
smooth.
Well, it has like a kind of, actually it's like not perfectly smooth in the way that it would be if I use After Effects. It would have been more smooth.
Yeah.
But since it's frame by frame, you can see like the feathers and stuff moving a little bit, like ruffling, in the way that old school claymation characters that had like fur or something would move.
Totally, like kind of jolting a little bit.
Yeah.
I like that. I feel like sometimes with After Effects things get too like
A little too
jelly-like. It's like really smooth. I'm like, that's not how it really is.
Yeah, I like using a combination when I do animation of both After Effects and hand drawing and things like the Spike Lee. I'll pull this up.
Yeah, let's see. Bruno wants to know, which animation app are you talking about?
Oh, the one on the iPad? I think it's Animation Pro, but I am not an expert in that at all. All I did was just pull in the frames and stitch it together. Honestly, I would recommend doing it on the computer. I'm not just saying that because I'm an Adobe thing, but like it's just better. It's just a better app to pull it in on Photoshop or After Effects. That's what I would recommend.
There you go. Is Behance free? So to have a Behance account is free, but to have like the really nicely curated and designed portfolio that you can just put your name in front of and then myportfolio.com, that requires a Creative Cloud subscription. Oh, wow.
So, yeah, the Spike Lee animation, I did that a little bit frame by frame on the iPad, and then also, in After Effects. Or not After Effects, actually. This one was totally done in Photoshop.
No way.
Yeah, it was like 140 frames in Photoshop, which is probably pushing what you can do.
Yeah, how do you even export that?
It was not easy.
No.
Yeah.
And that feather is so wiggly.
The feather was done with a puppet tool.
Okay.
Yeah, which Puppet Tool is in both After Effects and Photoshop.
Oh, I didn't know it was
And
in
Puppet
Photoshop.
Tool's great.
Yeah, totally. Wow, these look dope. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, like, so certain things, like, the afro I actually drew, like, every frame, because I wanted to feel organic and not, like, the same thing stretching. But the feather was done with the Puppet Tool, because that can just, like, move something that, like, it's moving in the wind.
Yeah, and just the character of a feather, it doesn't look too unnatural if it is moving that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, the sweat, that was drawn frame by frame. Sometimes I would, like, pull an object and then warp it a little bit instead of drawing it from scratch each time.
Yeah, it's just whatever you have to do
Yeah.
to make it look good. Very cool. So you have a really nice balance of, like, actual portraiture or just composition and pattern.
Thank you.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're welcome. And even some of the larger compositions have pattern within them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everything has pattern in it, actually.
Yeah,
it's something I'm really drawn to, that repetition, I guess. And
Yeah.
that, like, the works that I like tend to have some form of pattern or rhythm to them. So I like to recreate that.
Yeah, maybe that could have to do with your background in graphic design.
Totally.
Too, like
Yeah.
design filling up a space.
I like problem solving. Like, even when it's in my illustration, I like to create problems for myself and solve them.
You're like, what can I do to myself today?
Yeah, like, create systems, Like, I think systems are a thing that... Well, actually, one of these is kind of like that, because... so this one... this is called Water the Flowers. And this one I started by doing this typographic illustration. And this one you can definitely see the design background in this, And filling this up with the floral pattern, but then I also... Oh, that's a detail, too.
Wow.
And then I also created just a loose pattern to go with that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you're building like an entire suite.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Like, I could see this being... Like, you enter into a room where the wallpaper is that loose pattern, and then you've got, like, a framed painting of the WTF.
Oh.
I don't know, but it just... I don't even know what the purpose is, but I just wanted to do that and, like, let the purpose come later.
Yeah. But it seems like you do have, like, I'm going to make this because it's going to look like this. Like, you're making what you're working on today because you want it to be a wallpaper like the bathroom that you saw.
Yeah.
Like a lot of purpose going into it. That's really cool. Awesome. Cool. Well, you want to get started on what you've been doodling on?
Let's do it. So I did a sketch while I was on the plane over here.
Wow.
And, oh wait, this is the draw. Let me go back. It was done in Adobe Sketch. And this was like an idea for a pattern. And I've got several layers here. Well, the shadows are on a separate layer.
I was going to ask, how did you split them up?
I just drew them separately.
Yeah.
I didn't draw them all on one and then split it up. I just drew all the little sketches and then put in the shadow because I wasn't sure if I wanted the shadow. But now I like it, so I'm going to keep it.
There you go.
And yeah, and like actually when I got to the way that I designed this, there's many ways you can do patterns, but this one is just a straight block layout. I'm not sure what the technical term is, but it's just like everything would line up in a perfect grid.
Yeah.
And this is one tile of that. And what I did was, when I drew this, I came over and, I need to turn my touch things on, but like on the right-hand edge where you see this one plant that kind of spills over to the other side. That one, I drew half of it and I kind of just guessed where it would line up on the other side. And then later I'm going to go through and fix that, but, like for right now, I just kind of guess what would work, and then I go back and I'll show you guys later how I bring it into Photoshop or Illustrator to test that, and then I'll make fixes. I'll shift everything over and make sure it works, and then fix that. And that's kind of the process of making a pattern, is just continually fixing those guesses. And
it's always been a little intimidating for me because I'm like, I know I'm doing all this work right now, but I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, and you will be, but
scared.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's actually the magic of it, is that once it starts lining up and fixing it, it's just like a really cool moment.
Totally. I'm really impressed that it seems like it would line up pretty well already.
It does line up perfectly. Oh, but you know what? I tested it in here. So what I did is I drew this, and then, this is a really loose sketch too. This will become more detailed. But I just drew this, and then I saved it to my camera roll, which I think you just hit that box with the up arrow. And then you can save it to your camera roll. And then I imported it back in as a layer. And I'll show you how I did when I tested that. Let me turn off.
Oh, you can turn them off just by double tapping?
Yeah, just by double tapping.
That's great. Good to know.
I think I turn on. Okay. Which layer am I looking at? Turn that off. Okay, here we go. So then I this is the test, and I was able to do this right in the iPad. So I just brought that layer in from my camera roll, and if you just tap once on the layer, it gives you the option to transform it. So, well, first I transformed it, made it like about a quarter of the size of the page. It's not important because this is just a rough test. So I made it about the quarter of the size of the page, brought it into the corner, and then duplicated that, and then slid that over right next to it, and kept doing that. Well, then I merged that layer, which you can do that by also the single tap. It gives you the option to merge down. I merged it down with the layer that's next to it, and then duplicated that, slid that down.
Right.
Then you've got a 4-up tile. And you can kind of like do a quick test without even having to bring it into the computer yet.
Right.
And so, yeah, now I can see where stuff isn't quite lining up, but I generally like the rhythm, like,
yeah, it looks great.
From a distance of it, and that's kind of the hard thing to get. So yeah, I think it's a good basis to start.
Really cool. What was the inspiration?
Well, I think it was partially some of those photos I pulled up, and I was just thinking, like, what would I want to have as a wallpaper,
That's the best way to make stuff. You're like, what do I want that doesn't exist yet?
Yeah, exactly. And, well, some of the previous patterns I did, I wasn't really thinking of the end goal. I was just kind of creating an art piece. It was more of an art piece than a design thing, because I wasn't thinking of what it's going to be. I was just trying to express something.
Yeah.
But with this one, I'm kind of doing it more from a design perspective, like, what would I actually want to use or sell as a wallpaper.
Right.
So that's where I started with this one.
Cool. It looks like it's going in a great direction. Kyle Webster says, great way to create a seamless pattern. This is very cool, Shyama.
Thank you. Yeah, the traditional way of doing it, I should mention is that you would kind of draw, so you've got your square canvas, you would draw kind of a diamond inside of that. You know, you would fill that up, and then you would shift the pattern over and then wrap that back around, and then you'd end up with a hole instead, like where the diamond used to be.
Yeah.
You know, and you would fill up that hole. That's the traditional way of doing it, but I don't know why. I just like to fill up the whole thing. It's different ways of thinking and different ways of doing it, but everything works.
Yeah, making a pattern, like I already said, I've always been intimidated by it, but it's relatively, like, there's a way to do it. It's not like you have to be some pro pattern designer. Like, there's some steps you can
Anyone can do it.
Yeah, definitely. So if you guys want to try this on Sketch or Draw, you should, with the theme summer, and then send it to us, and you might win something.
Yeah, and I'm going to draw. Now, I haven't even decided whether I'm going to do this in Sketch or Draw yet, but I'll show you guys some stuff. Well, so this is just like a very quick, you know, just shading test of like, this is the style it would be if I were to do it in Sketch. I mean, there's many styles you can work with in Sketch, but I really like the watercolor brush.
Oh yeah, it's great.
So I'm gonna use that if I use Sketch, because yeah, it's also really fun to watch. I'll just do a really quick demo right now. Let's see. Just wrong layer. Okay.
That texture though.
So what's really cool is when you stop moving, you see how it's like bleeding out. It kind of, and then you hit this fan when you want to stop.
Right, I love that. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Chill out.
But actually, you never need to hit the fan. The fan is just a fun thing.
Yeah.
But what's cool is you can always let it go as far as you want and then go back, unlike real watercolor. So that's really cool.
Watercolor's so scary, but so fun. I just
but this takes away all the intimidation factor of it. So.
Yep, it's like baby steps. Is this Adobe Illustrator? No, this is actually Photoshop Sketch. It's a mobile app, and it is free. And if you have a Creative Cloud account, you can send it to the desktop version of Photoshop, or all kinds of other things. So it's a really great little mobile app you can use to just quicken up your workflow. Yeah, the texture is neat. Totally.
Yeah, and you can kind of see it, and if you work quickly, I don't know if it's just in my head, but it feels like it can blend with like the next color.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, see, I think it does. It does. It's really smart. It does something that feels like real.
This app has come a long way. All the mobile apps have. Like, I'm really amazed by how, specifically this one, how intuitive it feels to a traditional drawer like myself. I'm like, this feels like I'm actually drawing or using real utensils.
Yeah. Well, one thing I also like a lot is I use gestures for everything I can, because it just speeds up your workflow a lot. Right. And if you do 3-finger and then swipe to the left, it gives you like a sort of time-lapse undo.
Right.
If you can see that. And you can go back and forth. So that's super useful.
Really cool. I remember a lot of the times when these apps first came out, people would accidentally do that, and then they wouldn't know that they could get it back. So they were like, I deleted my
They thought they just lost everything.
I'm like, shh, it's okay. Yeah.
So I need to decide which one I'm going to use. So that's the style with that, and
there's more options.
There's more options. So, well, I should explain a little bit for people, you know, why you would choose one over the other, I think. Because with Sketch, you get these really cool, like those watercolor textures and great textures. Like, textures are the advantage of raster images. Yeah. And so if you use Sketch, is basically kind of like the Photoshop, I guess, of the two, whereas like Draw is more like Illustrator.
Yep.
And with Sketch, you can get great textures and a lot of character, but it's not infinitely scalable. So if you were to zoom in, eventually you would see the pixels. So in some use cases, a lot of people ask for vector. Like, I'm sure, you know, when you're silk screening and stuff, it's like really nice to have vector designs with less colors. It's breaking it down. It's simpler. It's more graphic. And that's what you would do with Draw. So this is the raster version, and then if I were to bring this into Draw, which I already just barely started to do.
Just barely.
Yeah, so that's what this would be like. I'm kind of leaning toward, and also the process for creating a pattern is different whether using Illustrator versus Photoshop. I know it's getting a little confusing because like I'm going to use both. I'm going to use both the iPad and the computer. So I'm going to use both, either Illustrator or Photoshop, and I'm going to use either Draw or Sketch, and I'm going to use the corresponding app on the computer for that. So if I use Draw, I'm going to use Illustrator to complete the pattern. If I use Sketch, I'm going to use Photoshop to complete the pattern.
Yeah, they pair up.
Yeah, and there's two different methods for those, because if you use Draw, which I have open right now with the Vector app, then actually Illustrator has an amazing pattern engine. Because you can pick what kind of tile you want to do. You can do like half brick repeats where it's like offset, and you can do it offset vertically or horizontally, or there's so many options for the pattern. It's very advanced. It's like more complex. If you use Photoshop, the only way I know is a more of a basic not brick, like a tile repeat where it's just like squares next to each other. And that's all the stuff on my website right now is all that. I have some stuff on Instagram which were more experimental things I did in Illustrator.
Gotcha. What's your Instagram?
It's at Shyama Golden.
Cool, so just your name.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, I put all my experimental stuff there, and eventually when I have more of it, it'll end up on my website, but I'm trying not to put like something that's only one thing of that on the portfolio.
Yeah, people are like, what's this?
It shouldn't look like out of place. There should be a whole family to go with it. So.
Yeah, definitely. Someone was asking about awesome watercolor brushes for Photoshop, and yeah, Adam Fox, Kyle's brushes are really amazing. They're actually some of my favorite Photoshop brushes, those watercolor ones specifically. They're so natural.
Yeah, the Kyle.
Yeah, oh, thanks, Gus. Instagram.com/Shyama Golden. Give her a follow. You won't be sorry. Yeah, someone says, I think I'll be deleting Procreate. I mean, you don't have to.
Well, you don't need to delete Procreate. I use Procreate for most of the stuff on my website. I'm just now starting to get into this, and I think like what's really cool is the Vector. I mean, the Vector is awesome. I think I will, unless anyone objects, I will continue this pattern in the Vector app.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up.
And I want to kind of show you guys both, so I think, well, I'll be live tomorrow as well and the day after. So I think whatever I don't do today, like out of those two workflows, I'll do the other one tomorrow. So you could learn both and see which one works for you.
Very cool. And while she's working, you guys should try it out yourselves on some sort of mobile app. It's totally free. Seriously, it's really fun. It's like a time suck.
Oh yeah, definitely. What I love about it is even late at night while I'm really tired, I can just like work in bed, drawing.
Like half asleep, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. And some of the things I did are probably only possible because of that.
Cool. Yeah, people say thumbs up. They're good with the vectors.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, Vector is something I kind of miss working in Vector because a lot of the stuff you see on my website is all Raster, and what I miss is doing silkscreen and stuff. I did that a lot when I was in school, and like maybe it'd be cool to do this in a way that it could be silkscreen, because in the real world a lot of companies would print wallpaper silkscreen. So
yeah, there you go. Oh, Lorraine, that's so nice. Said subscribing to this channel is the best decision she's ever made. Amazing artist, so inspiring, and she's learning so much.
Aw, that's great.
I'm glad to have you here. I know, it is so nice. Oh, warm fuzzies.
I should charge this really quick.
Yeah. Would you like my phone?
Sure.
Life hack. We learned this from Rob Zilla earlier. You can just charge your Apple Pencil with an iPhone, and it becomes a unicorn phone.
Yeah, I never even thought to do that.
No.
That's really smart.
There we go. Wow, she is so thumbs up. That's like the best compliment.
Never gotten that before.
Very cool. Wow. I love how it was inspired by plants, but there's also kind of like a creepy snake element.
Oh, yeah. There's always something creepy in everything I do.
Oh.
Well, just slightly creepy. Or I just don't like things to be too pretty or too sweet, because it's not interesting.
Right. Totally.
So I think that's like, first I drew all the plants and I was like, oh, this is such a happy scene. There needs to be like some element of
some danger.
Yeah.
Yeah. About the contest. So I see that Nightbot or Evil Cerise just told you about it, but if you guys want to make some mobile illustrations using Draw or Sketch over the next week, with the with the theme of summer, then you can send it to us on Instagram or Twitter, #Adobe Live, and you might win Creative Cloud for a year and stock images. 10 winners, I think, so 10 people are going to win that. That's a lot. It's a lot of Creative Cloud to be given away.
I feel like I accidentally did something that's on theme.
Yeah, there you go. You're like, oh, I'm going to succeed accidentally.
Oh, one other tip I have while I'm waiting for my pencil to charge is that, like, I didn't change that much about the app when I started working on it, but there's always, like, some things I do to customize any app I'm working in. So with this one, in the settings, what I did is, I think you have to close out of this. Yeah, you need to close out of the actual artwork. And then if you go to settings on this screen that you're looking at right now, then there's preferences. And one thing I change is, and I do the same thing in Procreate too, I don't like when my finger draws stuff. I don't like that because it's just like not, I like the stylus and the accuracy of that, and so whenever I'm drawing with my hand, it's like never as good.
Gotcha.
I mean, there are people that do amazing masterpieces with their finger, but that's just not me. So like, I need the pencil, and I turn off any type of marks made with my hand, and that helps me a lot. At first, I did it. Like, I don't know if you can see where that orange check mark is. Like, see where I'm clicking right now? It says use as eraser. You can set your finger to be an eraser. That's kind of cool, and I like it, but I end up erasing things on accident. This happened to me in other apps as well. So I prefer to do gestures only, and that's like the safest way that I won't like erase some of my work.
Right.
Or draw something on accident. Yeah. Or like sometimes you're just showing like a friend your work on your computer, on your iPad, and they'll like accidentally draw on it if you have that turned on. So I recommend just doing gestures only, but that's just me. So
yeah, it's like a security protocol.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, thanks, Jan Eric.
I think that's the only real thing. You know what? I'm going to turn on show touches so I can show you guys like where I'm, you know, what I'm pointing to too. But that's the only thing actually that I changed. Everything else, the settings were fine for me.
Yeah, I love how there's even options that you can customize it.
Yeah, that's definitely. Great. Yeah, I mean, different people are going to like different things. I know some people will prefer to erase with their finger. But for me, I prefer to use that 3-finger swipe to the left, like to do the go back in time. That's how I like to erase instead of I rarely, well, there's some cases where I actually erase, but it's not enough to where I need to make that so readily available, I guess.
Right. Helen, I don't know about that. If you figure it out, let us know. I'm sure there's some way you could jerry-rig it together.
Oh, what do you mean? Like,
they're asking if you can use Draw or Sketch apps through an Android simulator on a computer.
Whoa. Yeah, that's beyond my knowledge. I feel like there might be a bit of a lag if you did that.
That's true.
But I'm not sure.
Definitely not the intended use case. But whatever floats your boat.
Okay, so I'm ready to start drawing.
Here's your unicorn horn. There you go.
I'm going to warn you guys that like I've never done anything in 2 hours, so there might not be very much that gets done today.
Yeah, okay.
But I'll at least give you as many tips as I can, and I will finish this eventually and share it. So
there you go. You guys get to see the magic in the making.
Yeah, I mean, in 2 hours, you'll learn everything you need to know to do it yourself.
Doing it over and over again. Definitely. I wonder how many people in chat are also artists or like to create things. Let us know what you like to make. Maybe we'll hear some interesting answers. I know Jan Eric does some photography. Some of it's analog, like film photography. Awesome. Augustus Martin makes YouTube videos. They're pretty funny. What else? Interesting. I've actually been into making like washi tape patterns using the Capture app.
Oh, cool. Like that's perfect.
Drawing pictures. They're doing a doodle and then making a brush out of it, so it just turns into like a pattern tape. Oh, they're trying to get this like bootstrapped version of Android Sketch on a computer. Good luck with that, guys.
Why? Is it to avoid using the iPad?
Yeah, I wonder why. Cool. Tiffin Video likes to edit. Ricky Velez is an illustrator. A lot of figure, some fashion illustration. Oh, that's awesome. You should enter the contest. Do some summer fashion illustration for us. Graphic design, 3D creating, illustration and design. Very cool. Illustrations with Adobe Capture. Yes, Blanco. It's my favorite. Joe is back. Vector graphics. Awesome. What kind of things do you make? Like, do you make t-shirts or screen prints or what kind of stuff?
Oh,
Product
me?
Design. Oh, the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Raises hand, graphic design and illustrator. Very cool. What do you like to make? What kind of physical objects?
It's been a while since I made physical objects because I live in a small New York apartment now. I used to, when I live in Texas, I would like fill up my living room with t-shirts and stuff.
Oh, cool.
But now I tend to work more in the virtual zone because it just doesn't take up as much space all over the place. Yeah, but I would love to get back into it at some point.
Cool. Got more graphic design, wannabe illustrator. Cool, Kevin Stewart. More graphic design. A lot of graphic designers in here today. That's awesome. I find that graphic design is such a wide and varied field. Like, you can say I'm a graphic designer and do such different things. UI, UX design. Cool. Oh, you use Premiere Pro. Awesome. What kind of videos do you make? Tell us more. We've got a pretty crazy video studio going on right here. You'd probably be in heaven if you saw it. So how are you picking this color to go on top of this green?
Well, I am trying to keep this a limited color, so that's why I'm not doing anything that's too close in value,
Gotcha.
To try to keep it. And it's going to be a little bit abstracted, and I'm kind of like looking at my reference and seeing kind of a blue light, and
totally.
Thought that was kind of interesting. And then there could be another plant that will be this kind of bluish color. Yeah. That'll have like the shadows drawn in the dark green. So
I find that if I give myself an entire color palette, like I can use any color in the world, my art just looks crazy. Like, looks like muddy nightmare.
That's definitely a weakness of mine. I love to use all the colors, and I love all the colors. There's no color I don't like. So it's hard for me to rein that in, but I try.
Yeah, that's why you give yourself like 3 options and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
Boom. Melly says, I prefer the Surface from Microsoft because you work on a program and not an app. You do fashion, accessories, use the suite from Adobe. Cool. Yeah, I like the Surface that you can use like the entire Creative Cloud suite. You don't have to use a mobile app. Very cool. But you could use the mobile apps from your phone, send them to your Surface. There you go. Get a little bit of everything in there. Have you used the Surface Pro? I
haven't. No, I really should try that. Do people think that it is as good as the Apple Pencil?
Oh, tell us what you think, chat.
Like, is there anyone that's used both of them?
Yeah, personally, I've used both, and I like the Apple Pencil.
Yeah, I love the Apple Pencil.
Me too.
Like, I'm so in love with it, I can't imagine something that would make me want to switch.
Right. And I thought I wouldn't like it because I don't like, the glassy surface with the smooth tip of the pencil, but it works. I don't know how it does it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got used to it very quickly.
Yeah, I usually like a little bit of like tug and texture when I'm drawing, but I was surprised how much I liked it.
Yeah, people have screen, protectors they can put over it.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier. Oh, you love the Wacom pencil. Interesting. You mean the one that you would use on a tablet, or is it for a mobile device? Evil Suri says, the Apple Pencil takes time to get used to, but now I like it very much. Agreed.
Yeah, most of it for me was just about finding the right brushes. Once I found the right brushes, everything clicked.
Do you have a specific style of brush that you're using right now?
Well, right now, actually, in this app, I prefer just this round brush right here.
Yeah.
Just the round one.
Gotcha.
But they all have a different purpose.
Yeah, right. It's not quite as good, but I don't like the iPad. If I could have a tablet version of the apps on the Surface with an Apple Pencil type stylus, that would be perfect. That's asking for quite a bit. I hope it happens for you someday.
Well, I think the iPad is sort of the future, so it's kind of where everything is going.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they prefer the Microsoft Surface Pen and the Surface. Gotcha, we've got the Microsoft fan over there. Ooh, they like the iPad with the Adobe Pixel. Nice, I like Adobe styli. They're nice. Oh, we got a big update coming soon. Okay, interesting.
Another thing I do a lot is just use the color picker to pick colors I've already used, because I don't want to have a million colors like we were talking about. So I think if you just tap and pull this over where that cross is that's the color you're picking. So I just use the painting as a palette for more colors.
Yeah. Do you ever kind of mark out your palette beforehand, like on your paintings, so you can just grab them?
Yeah, I do sometimes. This time there's less prep in this one, but you guys get to just watch it happen.
So cool. I know, especially with making a t-shirt, like you couldn't just be picking a similar color but not the exact same color. It's no, it all has to be the exact same.
Yeah, and usually with t-shirts I would try to, or that kind of a silkscreen, I would try to keep it to like 3 colors or less. So there's a lot of like transparency that you're playing with, and it's a lot more analytical. And that I do, that's Illustrator is great for that. I mean, I would draw in here, but I would bring it. I thought that would be cool to show, but it's a little bit time consuming. So like, let's start with a simple thing here, and then we could add on with that later.
Gotcha.
But like transparency, I mean, transparency is so cool when you use vectors and combine with transparency, because that's what you would make in the real world when you're doing a silkscreen print, you know?
Yeah.
Like the order you put the inks down and stuff.
It's interesting when I see a vector become more, transparent and organic looking.
Yeah.
It's like a really striking balance.
Yeah, I love that combination.
Any plans on moving your color palette into a color wheel, or like a designated color palette that you can just pick from? Or are you just going to keep color picking?
Today? Or no, well, I see you're making like a palette that's saved in the Adobe libraries. I should, but no, I typically don't. I just kind of work off of, because it's kind of happening as we go. So I don't have anything like pre-planned out as far as the colors go.
Yeah, and I can see what they would mean by this current method kind of takes you out of your workflow, like you have to go and grab the color picker tool. But when I'm using Photoshop, like the desktop version, it's so easy to just press I, like the eyedropper tool, pick up the color and keep going.
Yeah, I use that a lot.
So what kind of tablet do you use when you're just using the desktop apps?
Well, I used to use the Cintiq, but really, I got the iPad like a year ago, and I've been using the iPad exclusively since then.
100% mobile?
I'm scared to get rid of it, the Cintiq, though, because that's what I used for like a decade.
Yeah,
so
that's an investment, too.
Yeah, and it's like hard to just admit that I might never use it again, but so far I've been able to do everything on here.
That's really amazing, because I've always seen like a Cintiq as being the epitome tool, like the apex. That's the best thing you can use. But you're like, nope.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It was. I mean, it was kind of it is still the industry standard, but I feel like it's hard. They need to take a good look at the iPad, and like the resolution is the thing. It's like that's what gets me. Is like the resolution being so high is amazing for people who work with a lot of details and stuff, because you can just constantly be zooming in and making sure everything looks good at every scale.
Totally. Especially with stuff that's as detailed as yours is.
Yeah.
Definitely. They love the Wacom, but the iPad Pro stole their heart. AstroPad only makes it worse. Oh yeah, have you used AstroPad?
I have, yeah. I like it. I don't have the... AstroPad has they have like a subscription service.
Oh.
I haven't done that, but I have like the basic,
Gotcha.
The one that you just buy, Has anyone tried the subscription service, and could you tell me if it's better?
Yeah, tell us what you think. So it would be like you get more.
It's
utilities?
a more pro version of it.
More pro.
But you have to pay like monthly for it.
The proist. Gotcha. Ever tried AstroPad with Creative Cloud apps? I've seen it done. I know a lot of illustrators actually that just love to have Photoshop on their iPad. It's just the way they do it. Tell us if we should get AstroPad or not. I'm interested.
Oh, you should definitely get it. Yeah? I just don't know if the pro version is like. I don't know anything about that.
Gotcha. I wonder if an AstroPad would be worth it if I don't have an iPad Pro. It'd be worth it on a smaller iPad.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be better on a Pro because there's so much issues with. I mean, you want no lag or anything, and the iPad Pro is really good for that.
Yeah, and even just the interface of Photoshop itself would be so much smaller on a smaller device. It'd be hard to see things. Oh, they got the basic version like you do. Another person has the basic version like you do. We got no subscribers in here.
Oh, yeah. You know, I think they kind of turned people off with their subscription model because something like Adobe apps makes sense for the subscription model because it's an essential thing that you must have, that every person must have who's doing anything in this field. But I feel like they're kind of a newcomer, and for them to try the subscription model, like, I don't know, maybe it's working out for them, but like...
Got a little big for their britches.
I don't know.
Maybe. We don't know. It could
no,
be
I should try it before I knock it, because maybe it's totally worth it.
They were speculating about Game of Thrones earlier, and now we're speculating about AstroPad. Same thing. Jan Eric says, iPad Pro and AstroPad is a bargain, since you'd be using your tablet for other stuff too. It's a good investment. Gotcha.
Are they talking about the Pro version or the regular version?
Oh. It's a good question. Who knows? But maybe that's a use case for buying an iPad Pro in the first place. Like if you
it definitely is. Yeah. No, I should totally try it. I bet it is awesome. Because I just never got around to it. I have like I don't know, just like I do have a little bit of a resistance to like subscription things sometimes. Like one more subscription.
Yeah. I know my husband and I were looking through all of our subscriptions and we're like, which ones can we live without? We got rid of a bunch of them, and then a week later, I was like,
you need them all back.
Yeah, I had to get that Spotify back. Saves my life. I'm really interested in more about your background. I'm so intrigued that you're a graphic designer for 10 years.
Yeah.
What?
You know, part of it was... I don't know. Like, I just didn't think that illustration was something I'd be able to make a living in, I guess, at first. And I do love design, too. And that's also part of, like, what I was saying. My problem is that I like so many things. Like, I like all the colors. I like design. I like illustration. I like all these things. So it's like, people are like, oh, just pick the one that's most you. Pick what you enjoy. I'm like, well, I enjoy everything.
Yeah,
so,
like, excuse you.
So I had to try that for a long time. And then finally be like, well, I still think... there's a more opportunity to be like fun and funny and weird with illustration. Even within the confines of working for a client or something, there's more opportunity to like inject your own sense of humor.
Yeah, and you can definitely have highly designed illustration. Like that's a thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I do typographic work too.
Someone says, any tips for starting a freelance career or website advice?
Well, having a website is very important and spending some time on that. And yeah, to plug Adobe again, I did use the Adobe portfolio. Yes. And no one asked me to do it. I just kind of did that on my own.
Yeah, it's like if you have a subscription, you get it for free.
Yeah, so, exactly. So that's like a good place to start if you already have the Creative Cloud. And it's really important to tag everything and put words with all your images, because by default, if you just put up a bunch of images, no one's going to be able to find it on the internet. So it's really important to tag every element that's in your image in some way. Make sure that there's, make sure that it's accessible, you know, on the internet for people to be able to search for it. Because a lot of people find my work just completely by Googling something, and this has been the case forever since I started. Like, since I was straight out of school. Like, when I was, I think, like, a year out of school or something, Mattel called me for a job, which was, like, crazy because nobody knew who I was at all, you know? But they had just Googled the word city sketch and found, like, a sketch I did.
That's amazing.
That I had properly labeled. So they called me to do something like, and I got like a big job out of that a long time ago.
Actually, search engine optimization is a thing.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it in some magical way. It's just attaching words to your images so that machines can find them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think having a way for people to find you on the internet is really important.
Oh, and same with Instagram and stuff, because now Instagram is sort of the way everyone finds people.
Yeah, that's kind of my website at the moment.
Yeah, so it's really important on Instagram. But, okay, this is more, I'm not so good at this, so just do as I say and not as I do.
Okay.
But you should try to, like, tag the images so that people can find them.
Oh, yeah, I'm a tagger. I tag many things.
Yeah.
There you go. That totally is how you grow. It's interesting because I feel like I've seen every image that's ever been created on the internet, but if you put in a really specific tag, you'll find things that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, and art directors are always searching for like
they're trolling
portrait in painterly style or whatever. They're putting in these words, and so like you need to think about what would they be searching for in order to find you. I mean, not that, like, you know, you look at your work and think of like what kind of words would lead someone to your work, and for them to be like, okay, this is what I want.
Right. Yeah, I think it's also important to put up work that you want to continue to do. Like, I really like to draw animals, so I'm going to show a lot of animals. If you show the one building and you hate drawing buildings, but someone loves it, they're going to be like, hey, can you draw me 1,000,000 buildings? And you're like, ooh. I don't really want to be known for the buildings, but
yes, that's bad for your long game, because you might get like a paycheck in the short run, and maybe that's, if you need that, then you should do it. But like in the long run, you're gonna end up with a portfolio that's all over the place.
Oh yeah,
you know, instead of being focused. So
totally. So Augustus Martin says what's important is having a website linked to your other websites and social media, being able to quickly and easily be accessed is important, like contacted. I feel like there are so many artist websites out there that just have no contact information. You're like, oh, well, I wanted to work with you, but you're lost.
They're too cool to be contacted.
Right. When did you start graphic designing? Triquad.
When did I start?
Yes.
Well, I guess that would have been 2004. Yeah, 2004.
Spits out water.
That was a long time ago. I mean, even when I was in school, I already was designing stuff for clients outside too, because my teachers like recommended me for jobs and stuff.
Oh, great.
So that was really cool. That's a great way to get started and build some kind of portfolio.
Yeah. One good thing about art school, you can have your teachers as a resource.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's also another thing for starting as a freelance artist, is if you need to be working something else on the side, like that's cool, but don't stop hustling as an illustrator.
Yeah, definitely. And I did, like, the entire time I've been doing some freelance illustration work.
Yeah. People are still talking about AstroPad. I'm inspired now. I want to try it.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, honestly, I need to get back into it and try it more, because every time I try it, it's better. They're definitely, like, working on improving.
Wow. So, like, updates, that makes it better. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I really think the iPad is the future, because it's, like, it's so small and you can take it anywhere, and then you can also plug it in with your computer and do all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Life is almost too easy these days. It's a little scary. Does anyone use the Pro version? Are you talking about AstroPad? Because that's what we were just talking about, the daily struggle, and I don't think we've found anyone yet that uses the Pro version.
No one subscribes to it.
AstroPad, you better be listening. I
wonder if they have a free trial. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think
they should. Perhaps. And if you guys want free stuff, you're welcome to join the contest that's running this week. It's going to be on the theme of summer, and if you want to download Sketch or Draw, the two mobile apps that we're focusing on this week, and make an illustration based on summer, send it to us on Twitter or Instagram with the tag Adobe Live, and someone will pick 10 winners to win Creative Cloud and a year's worth of subscription, a year's worth of Adobe stock images, 10 images a month. Does that make sense? 120 images in a year. So you'll win all of that. So 10 people are going to win that. Just send over your illustrations. It's a pretty easy way to win some cool stuff. Will you be making any GIFs?
I want to do that, yeah. I was actually thinking on the third day, because this is the first of 3 days, that I would do a few GIFs because I have a bunch of sticker packs on the Apple Store.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, and so that would be a great thing also to inspire you guys to make your own stickers and show you that it's easy.
Yeah. Did you guys know you could do that? It's like not just something professional people do. Anyone can do it.
No, yeah, it's really, it's like the best way, the easiest way to be a developer, because you sign up as an Apple developer.
Oh.
And that sounds intimidating, but really it's not. It's just a series of many steps that if you could watch a tutorial or something on that, you'll definitely be able to do it.
Yeah. That's really cool. I am excited to see what you have to say. Someone is asking, what is the thing that made you love graphic designing, and how did you start learning it?
I think, well, maybe, I don't know where it exactly started, but my mom's family in Sri Lanka own a printing press. So, like, even when I was, well, like, we would visit every year when my grandparents were alive, and I remember seeing, like, my uncle, like, working on fonts and stuff when I was, like, so little. Yeah. So maybe, like, that was the origin. I don't know exactly where it started, but, like, I've always been interested in type, and like I remember when I was a kid doing like a project where we made like a newspaper, a book report that was like a newspaper of the story.
And yours was like perfectly designed.
Yeah, and I spent like so much time on mine. Yeah. It was like crazy, and I just have always been interested in that. So I don't know what the exact origin of it is. It's hard to say, but
yeah, it's just always been a thing. So how did you start like fostering that interest?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is just looking at things you like and collecting them, and you know, constantly like observing what's around you, and that's like a big source of inspiration. Just being interested in that.
Gotcha. Do you remember the first thing that you actually like designed? Like, I'm graphic designing this right now.
It probably was that little newspaper report thing. Yeah. Ooh. That was, I didn't know what it was called at the time. I mean, when I was in high school, there was no graphic design in high school. That like now that's a thing that people do, but
right. Yeah, we really only had just like studio art classes.
Yeah.
Like, here's how you draw. Here's how you paint. But we didn't even have computer like classes. We're like, what's Photoshop? Then I got to college and got smacked in the face with Photoshop. People are making fun of the way that we said GIF and GIF differently.
Oh, which way did I say it? I don't even remember.
I say GIF. I think you said GIF.
Oh, probably.
But I don't think there's a really
I can't remember which one was the right way.
Just say it how you say it. Whatever, the movie thing. The movie image.
I used to know these things.
Yeah. Someone wants to know what you think your best project is.
That I've ever done?
Yeah.
Well, should I show it to you guys?
Yes.
It's probably, I think this is actually like a traditional oil painting, but I think it would probably have to be this painting called Cat Squatch.
Oh, yes. Love it.
Where was that?
What makes it
the
best? Is it just your personal favorite?
I think the idea, you know, and this idea came about from a conversation with my boyfriend that, like, we were trying to think of some collaboration to do together, like some kind of a book we write or something like that would be illustrated. And we were like, okay, what do we really like? I love cats, and we both love Sasquatch and Yeti type of characters.
Yeah.
Just, like, they're really fun to draw. And we were like, okay, let's combine that. And then he started drawing, like, a big cat, like a Sasquatch with cat ears, and I was like, no, this needs to be made out of, it's not weird enough, it needs to be made out of cats that are real cats. So that's what this is.
Wow.
Oh, here we go.
There's just so much to this.
Yeah, there's a lot
of unpack over here.
Oh yeah, and here's the scale of it too.
No way.
And that dog really was interested in
Oh, look at all those cats. Wow, yeah, you did say it's an oil painting.
Yeah, it's an oil painting.
I was thinking it was digital.
And that's actually my background that I kind of forgot to talk about, was like I've always done paintings, so.
Man, just do everything, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was painting and graphic design, and then I was like, how do I combine those? And then illustration was kind of the answer.
True.
You know?
Wow, there's so many different breeds in there. Look, like animal.
Oh yeah, this is like a super close-up detail of it.
How did you capture this image? Did you just take a large format photo?
Just with a 5D and went outside in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Where it was like a diffused light.
Wow.
It's not easy to photograph this huge paintings evenly, but...
People are loving the cats. Yes. What's the best animal you have drawn? Or your favorite?
The best animal? Well, I think whatever this
Isn't it obvious?
That's probably... But I've drawn a lot of animals. I did this series that's like patterns. It's well, it's these 3.
Okay.
And yeah, like you know what? The llama actually was like a thing that I have a picture of my business card on the about page. And I did this a long time ago. I don't know, like 7 years ago or something. But this kind of like got passed around the internet a whole lot.
Oh, cool.
And it got me probably a lot of clients and stuff too at that time.
Right.
Just because people couldn't pronounce my name because the Y is silent. And I would just tell people, oh, it rhymes with llama, and they would remember it because that was something to associate it with.
Oh, llama girl.
Yeah. So then I just made that my official business card.
Yes.
And this was done with Illustrator with the blob brush tool.
Oh,
actually.
cool.
But this was pre-iPad days. Like, that didn't even exist at this time.
It almost looks like it's like a wood cut or wood block.
Yeah. So this is the style I use for a lot of silkscreen stuff.
Gotcha.
And had the iPad with pencil existed at the time, I would have used that, you know. But I used the Cintiq with Adobe Illustrator with the blob brush tool.
There you go. Someone wants to know if you make videos. Or have you ever?
I'm going to actually, this inspired me to do it because I thought, like, a lot of my friends have been asking how to do stickers, how to do animations, how to do a lot of things that would just be better if I made a video so everyone could learn from it instead of it, like, on YouTube or something.
Right, and getting more learn content out there.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's something I want to do. And I'm going to... I'm going to teach, probably the first thing I'll do is like how to make stickers, like how to get it on the App Store. Because I've done like small talks on it, like for a group called Type Thursday, which I'm a part of. And it's really cool. It's like a meetup in New York where you can meet other designers and stuff. And like I gave a little talk for them on like how I did the stickers and everything. So that inspired me to be like, okay, a lot of people are interested in this. I need to make a tutorial because there's not a good one that I've found, unless if someone could point me to one, that would be great because I could share it with people. But I haven't found a good one. Yeah,
even if there is a good one.
Right. Well, I mean, it's specific for illustrators, you know, or designers because we just doodle stuff all the time, and that could be something that you could sell. Yeah. You know.
Definitely.
But also I wanted to show like some of the other stuff, like how I do a lot of the work I do in Procreate and those things too. I want to show just like how it's done, you know.
Right. Have you ever thought of doing live streaming, like besides this, just on your own?
Yeah, I have. Like I did it once with my friends on Procreate, but it was through their default app that's hooked into that, which is it's the part of Twitter. Periscope.
Oh, okay.
It was on Periscope. It's a little like low res or something.
Yeah, right.
Which is like not
watch
great.
On their phones usually. Yeah. So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So I feel like I want to find something better. I think YouTube is probably better.
Yeah. Totally. I've done some Twitch streaming, so it's like, that's a good creative community. YouTube's really good too. Facebook even, if you have a art page for your Facebook
page for my face.
Yeah. The page for your face on the Facebook. How do you start to draw? Was there like a disconnect between designing and drawing? Did you feel like you had to kind of learn that, or you said you've been painting for a while too?
I've been painting for a while, but if it's been a long time, I always feel a little dumb when I start. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, your hand is just like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it gets better the more you do it. That's the thing. That's for sure.
Yeah. They want to know if your last name's really Golden or if it's an artist name. Either way, it's awesome.
No, it's my name.
Man, that'd be cool if you're like, no, it's my pseudonym.
Like a pen name.
Yeah. I go by Kathleen Illustrated, but that was more just because when I was trying to pick how I was going to go as an artist, I was getting married, and I'm like, well, I don't know which last name to choose.
So you never publicized your last name?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a secret, but I was like, I'm confused, and everyone else will be too.
You could just be like Madonna, where you're just...
Exactly. Artist formerly known as Kathleen Illustrated.
Yeah, or like Prince, where you're just a symbol.
Yeah, there you go. I can just be a drawing of me or a cat or something. Melly says, I'm sure that you can draw some projects for the Belgian artist Stromae. Oh, do you know Stromae?
I do, yeah, but... Yeah. I'm not sure if
very specific.
Yeah.
Why do you think that, Melly? I know I've seen some of his music videos. I haven't seen any art in them.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I've just seen like the posters of him and stuff.
Very cool. I almost feel like Procreate should be a banned word on the Adobe stage. No banned words. We're just using Sketch and Draw. No big deal. And I wonder if
I think every app has, depending on your style, there'll be an app that's right for you,
definitely.
know. And I work in a lot of styles, so for me, I'm interested in using every app. So.
Yeah, that's actually interesting to hear, because the stream before, they were talking about their specific styles, and you said you work in a lot of different ones. Do you ever feel conflicted about that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's definitely the conventional wisdom. Is that you should work in just one style. Yeah. And, I had a Twitter convo with Kyle, about this too, because he works in a lot of styles and stuff, and he wrote a great Medium article about this topic. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. I think for me, I can't go quite as diverse as his styles, and because, I think everyone is very unique, and the reasons why they're successful are different.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I don't need to go quite as specific as I am right now, because I've been excluding all my vector work, for example, and I feel like I should bring that back in, as a step. But it does get harder the more different styles you have for your work to be recognizable, for someone to see it and be like, oh, I know who did that. Because if you're working in many different styles, that's kind of a downside. And the other thing is I'm also trying to do art and sell paintings and things like that. So for me, it's also, that's a different world, and it's important to have a cohesive style when you're working as an artist, traditionally.
Right.
So I'm trying to balance the two, the interest in doing all the styles and the reality of selling yourself as an artist.
Yeah, and it's when you're an artist, you're making art and someone is going to buy it, but if you're illustrating or designing, maybe it's you might have to step into a couple different styles depending on what your client wants, unless they're no, we like you because of your style. Draw whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, especially with, I think designers need to be able to work in every style for the most part.
Yeah, very true.
Which is different than illustrators.
Yeah, they really need to fit into a box. You are a very good drawer, they're saying.
Thank you. I'm going very slow right now because just I'm interested in the conversation too, and
trying to keep it lively.
Yeah.
Joe is back, says, I use Procreate as my main Photoshop mobile replacement, but I feel bad for saying that. I also love Adobe Draw, by the way. Joe, we accept you. You're welcome here. No worries.
It's okay.
At least you love both. It's fine.
Yeah. It's not like you have to use one and you can't use the other one. So.
No. We just want you to make art. That's the most important thing. But if you want to win the contest, you should use Sketch or Draw.
I would say my favorite things in Sketch or Draw are, in Draw, it's the vector, the fact that it's, I'm zooming in right now. Ignore the sketch in the background, but, you can actually see how the sketch in the background has pixels, and the art in the foreground is just infinitely scalable, and it's always smooth. So that is the beauty of this. It could be projected onto a side of a building or whatever, or it'll be infinitely scalable, not projected but printed, because projected would be fine either way.
There you go. Hey, Alexander, welcome to the stream. He wants to know what you're doing.
What I'm doing right now?
Yeah. What are you doing?
That's a good question. I don't know. I was trying to rein this in and do less colors, but it's already starting to get a little
You think?
out of control there.
I guess there are 4 colors.
There are already 4, and then there's going to be all these other plants. So I'm trying to think about that. Ooh. There's a lot of thinking going on. I think a lot of times I spend too much time thinking and not enough time drawing.
Not enough time doing.
I want to make a poster that's like, think less, draw more, because that just is what I need to be told.
Yeah, you need to be told. Yeah. Mine is look at Pinterest less, draw more.
That too.
It's like, you can stop. You don't need to look at all of this inspiration.
Yeah, it's sort of a crutch sometimes, I think.
Yeah, or you look at all this inspiration and you're like, I made so much great art today. And you're like, wait, no, I just looked at great art. Dang it.
No, totally. I do that all the time.
Man. Vector is always the best. Ooh.
Whoa, that's a bold statement. I guess Rob would agree with that.
Yeah. He's looking at us like, don't say that. See, I'm very much like a raster person. I'm like, okay, Vector, I get it. You can be big or small, but that doesn't really matter to me. I just want to draw with a pencil.
Vector, it's a little harder for me because
really?
I come from a painting background, but but I also spent many years doing logos and stuff like that, so it's I spent my first job was in packaging design, so that was all in Adobe Illustrator. So I spent like 60 hours a week in Adobe Illustrator for a year. Yeah. So I feel like very comfortable in that world.
You're like, I know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot I don't know how to do, but
yeah. That's a great thing about these products, though. Like, there's so many different things you can do, so many different ways you can do them. It's pretty infinite. Joshua says Vector is corrector. It's the correctest. Someone wants to say that they like the animations you have on your website. I wonder how you do them. We talked about this a little earlier.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Those animations. Yeah. Like, because I have different kinds of animations I do. There's some that are in my stickers, which are very simple ones.
Oh, okay.
I was going to do that as a tutorial on the 3rd day, I think, because then I can do that from start to finish quickly and people can, like, draw along. And it's easier to grasp. But the ones on my website are more drawn. Those were drawn in Procreate, and then I brought them into Photoshop and used, because Photoshop has a lot of After Effects functionality, so I would use the After Effects functionality in Photoshop. And some of them I actually used After Effects as well, but there's a lot you can do with just Photoshop if you're more comfortable with that, which, like, most people already know that more. Right. With the timeline. Yeah. So that's how those are done. With the timeline and like individual frames. I forgot the exact technical term, but like it's not. There's timeline animation, there's frame animation, and I'm using frame animation. That's important to know. And with I use frame animation and then a puppet tool a lot on certain elements. Yeah. You know, to like move them, and then sometimes I draw them frame by frame.
Wow, I like love doing frame by frame animation, even though it makes me crazy.
Oh,
it's
totally.
Like, you know, it takes you so long, but it's so simple. It's just straightforward. You just draw it again, draw it again. Don't have to think about that much stuff. It's pretty nice. I like this tan color you have for this pot.
Yeah, I'm gonna just use that again as like a pattern on the outside.
Ooh, of course.
And the one thing I'm constantly doing is drawing shapes and then like long pressing inside that fills it.
There you go. So you're not even using the pencil when you do that. You're just using your
finger. No, yeah. At first, it took me, the very first time I used this app, I was like coloring it all in. I was like, this is so much work. Yeah. And then I looked at the gestures and realized that you can just do that.
Mad says, I want to create a lettering poster. Do you have any advice for inspiration so I can think less but do more? I'm stuck.
Oh man, but that's my weakness too.
Yeah,
so because we were just talking about that. I mean, you just gotta start and like even if it's bad, just do it. You know, that's the only way to do it. And it's like you have to get the bad ideas out first anyway, so just do them. And it may turn out to be something you like. You never know.
Yeah, totally. That's the hardest thing. It's like starting is the hard part. I feel like once I start, I'm like, all right, now I can fail. And I don't want to fail. So then I don't start.
No, I am really bad at that because I spend so much time thinking before I even put my pencil down on the paper, which is really bad.
Yeah, I'm like trying to outmaneuver what could go wrong already.
Right, exactly. Preemptively, preventing anything from going wrong.
Definitely. Did you use a stock image? I don't think so. You took both of your reference, right?
Yeah, I had like a photo that I took in, like, I have a lot of these plants at home, so I look at them every day, and
there you go.
So I know what they look like. I purposely picked something I wouldn't need much references for, because the finding of references takes a long time, and I didn't want you guys to have to watch while I was like Googling for references and stuff.
Or using Adobe Stock.
Yeah, you could do that too. Well, I mean, I think in the thing I do tomorrow, I probably will use references more.
Gotcha.
And yeah, finding references takes a little while, so usually I would just like spend some time doing that ahead of time, and have everything. But this drawing I just kind of did from my head. It's like, normally I would never draw out of my head, though. I would always use a reference. It's always better when I use a reference. But this is faster, and for the purpose of explaining it, and for drawing while talking, it's better.
Definitely. Yeah, I didn't realize how important reference was until I think I got to college. And I was like, oh, that's how people draw well? They like look at things?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Everything on my website was like heavily referenced, but I am really careful to use, like, if I'm drawing a portrait, I'll use 50 photos of that person, so you'll never tie it to any photographer or anything. You'll never be able to, it won't look like any one person's work. So
right. That's why you do it. And it's hard because you are like, oh, this is great reference right here, but you can't take directly from it, really.
Yeah. I gotta charge again, I think.
Uh-oh. Back to the phone. Unicorn phone. Adam Fox, weren't you in chat 2 weeks ago with us? Now you're live at Adobe. I was. Good memory. I'm always lurking around in the Adobe chats, making friends. There's a lot of awesome designers in the chat. Really cool. I found some awesome portfolios from people just hanging out on this channel. Someone says, think less, just do. That'd be a good poster.
Yeah. Well, I think I do want to do the one that's... Oh, maybe I should do it live. Think less, draw more.
Yeah, you should. Do you have a lot of
That's a good idea.
Lettering experience, just drawing letters?
I do, yeah. And I took a class at Cooper Union that was, they offer the famous condensed and extended classes, which are really intensive. But what I took was, there's like an even more baby version of that, which is just called Pen to Pixel Beginning in Type Design or something like that. And I took that class, and it's once a week for 8 weeks. And that was really helpful. And you can get a surprising amount out of that if you do your homework every time. Like, if every time you go to class you ask a lot of questions from the teacher and you make sure you do a lot when you go home, you'll get so much out of those 8 weeks.
Right. Yeah, really intensive.
And it's not as much of a financial commitment by any stretch as the the condensed and extended programs. Those are like $6,000 or so. So I think those would be great to do. I didn't have the time, or I wasn't sure if I was ready for that, especially because I'm more of an illustrator. Yes. But I still do occasionally do like branding work, or was doing like branding work and stuff. So I had an interest in that. And also for my type work, it still informs me. It's like good to know how classical typefaces are designed.
Right. Definitely. Will you tell us more about those classes you're talking about, like where they're held?
Yeah, it's at Cooper Union in New York.
In New York, gotcha.
Yeah, and it's a little easier if you live there because it's spread out over 8 weeks. I think if you took, so that's the class that I took, which is the most beginner one. But still I ended up with a sans serif and serif font at the end of the class. So it's pretty great. I mean, I haven't released them because I'm just procrastinating releasing them.
Oh, but you would.
But yeah, I can. The only thing they're missing is they have some international characters, but they don't have all of the international characters, which are like 100 different things that you add on that people don't even think about.
Yeah, it's like, okay, now make 3 more typefaces.
Yeah.
Basically.
But I have them on my Dribble. Like, you can see just samples of them. And they're on like a Tumblr thing too as well. But the Dribble is probably the best place to look at.
Nice. I wonder if people in chat have Dribble. It's really cool design community. Have you found it helpful, like just as a community or getting jobs or anything?
I did a lot, especially in the beginning. I mean, lately I'm not very good at social media. I should be better. I'm getting better. But like sometimes there's like a new thing, you know, every 6 months there's like a new social media thing that you need to be part of. So I'm not that good at like updating everything. But depending on what I'm working on, I will share it in the appropriate place, like whether that's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or Dribbble, you know.
Right.
Like the type design stuff totally made sense for Dribbble.
Yeah, seriously, that's like the perfect environment for it.
Yeah.
Portfolio.
On Dribbble?
No, your website that you generate from videos.
Oh, we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I could show it again for people.
Oh,
who
yeah,
are
yeah,
new
for
to
new
the
people.
Chat. Yeah, definitely. And while she's pulling that up, we do have a survey live right now. It just popped up in the chat. If you guys want to let us know what you really think about these live events, please take that survey.
Here, I'll charge this while we're I think it charges a little slower in the iPhone, maybe. But it's okay.
Yeah, we have another one. Another pencil, if you want to use that.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
It's just in case.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Magical
so
Hand.
if you're just joining in, this is my portfolio online, and it is on Adobe My Portfolio. I switched to that like 5 or 6 months ago, I think. And I didn't even know, I think most people don't know that this is free with Adobe Creative Cloud.
Yeah, that's a website. That's like a full-blown website.
And
that's great.
Yeah, and like you can go into the individual posts too, and you know, and all these have lightbox effects where you can zoom into the image.
Wow. Zoom in on that animation. Let's see that. Look at them go.
Yeah, so that's what's been the background, but now it's moving. It would have been really distracting if that was like moving the whole time behind us, right?
That's scary. It looks like the egg like glows a little bit.
It does, yeah.
Cool. It's really funky.
Yeah, you know how I did that animation was I colored over the egg, you know, in a layer that was, well, okay, I had a separate layer that is the glow. So it was like this light blue shading, and that's on its own layer. And when I brought everything into Photoshop, I would just tween the transparency of that layer. So like in the frame by frame timeline, you would like start it at 0 and then end it and then end it at 100% transparency. And then you can like tween the in-between frames.
Tween the in-between.
Yeah, and that way you don't have to like set each individual frame.
Yeah.
And it creates the glow effect.
Gotcha. So what is tweening for people who do not know?
Tweening is like a classic animation term that is, well, in the old days, there used to be like a advanced artist or like a more senior animator that would draw like the person in one position and in the next dramatically different position.
Like the 2 keyframes.
Yeah, and there'd be like a tweening artist who's more junior who would come in and draw all the in-between frames. And you can do that in an automated way in Illustrator, in Photoshop and After Effects.
Thank the
And
Lord.
yeah, I mean, After Effects is the best place to do it, but in Photoshop has a version of it too, with certain parameters such as transparency, position, not sure what else, but there's certain things that you can tween that will like save you some time with animation.
Yeah, and with animation, you want to save time.
Yeah, because it's going to take a long time no matter what you do. So
Definitely. Cool. What else? Show us something we haven't seen.
Oh, on the portfolio.
Yeah. Just pop into a random one. Let's see it.
Well, this one was actually fully drawn in Photoshop.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I think I did a little bit of details in Procreate later, but, you know, that was just because I find that you can do more detail on the iPad. You know, and I had a version of this that was totally... Oh, and there's, like, the process here, too. So you can see this was the sketch. I used to sketch on a regular notebook. Now I sketch on the iPad. I do everything. This is my sketchbook. It's everything.
So where do you hold your sketchbook? Within Sketch or Draw?
Well, I mean, right now I've only recently started using Sketch and Draw. So I do the sketches in Procreate.
Gotcha.
But like for today though, I did the sketch in Adobe Sketch. You know, while I was on the plane.
Right.
So like with the pencil tool. I just did it in Adobe Sketch. And this was like a regular sketch that I scanned in. And then this is the first step in Photoshop where I just like blocked in the color. This is always my process. Even with oil painting, this is how I work. So I just block in the colors first. This was done in Photoshop. And then the next step, this is also in Photoshop, that I just start bringing in the light colors. I tend to start a little bit medium dark and then pull in light and then carve in dark.
Oh, interesting.
And that saves a lot of time too, versus just some people, I've noticed some artists, like they have a completely white canvas and they start drawing like a portrait, or they start drawing like the eyes and then they like move out. I don't know how they do that. Yeah, I never work that way. I just cover the whole canvas with blocks of color so I get the general vibe of the painting right away, and then I start like kind of scanning over it, you know, with layers of detail.
Right, it's like push and pull, but you got to get that first layer done first for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, this almost looks like it's a 3D model. It's like really well rendered.
Thank you.
And delicious.
Yeah, it's like inspired by, I don't know why, Neapolitan ice cream.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of my childhood, so.
Yeah, it looks like Dippin' Dots. Like that freeze-dried ice cream. Yum.
And this one too, I could easily take those ice cream blobs and make that into a pattern that would go with this. So I kind of like that idea that there could be a drawing, an art piece, and a pattern that goes with it. So that's something I'm exploring. I don't know what it's going to become, but I think it could be a cool art show.
Yeah.
If you walked into a room where like the wallpaper was all the pattern and then you're drawn into this painting or something.
Yeah, it's like a little world. And I noticed that in that sketch you did it in the diamond. Is that because you were going to make it into a pattern?
Well, it was because, no, that would be cool, but like it was because I was going to paint it in a frame that was square on an angle.
Gotcha.
And this was like right when actually that sketch I did years ago, and I never did anything with it. It was just like in my sketchbook with a bunch of sketches. Yeah. And then a couple years ago I started drawing digitally really for not the first time, but the first time I did it really seriously.
Yeah.
And was doing everything in Photoshop. And discovered Kyle's brushes and stuff. A friend of mine recommended them to me. And like discovering his brushes made it all like so much better, because before that I was kind of snobby about drawing digitally. I was like, oh, everything is better drawn in real life, you know. And I think a lot of older artists still feel that way, that they can't come around to drawing digitally.
Totally.
But like once I discovered those brushes and spent some time with it, I felt like, oh, this could be completely equal and better in some ways because of the animation and the patterns and the things that you can do with it that you can't really easily do.
Right. Yeah, but it's so intuitive. Like those brushes are amazing. Someone says you should do a Target collection.
Oh, really?
With your patterns. Yeah, do a little throw pillow with the illustration, then some pattern sheets. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I would love to do more collaborations actually with designers.
That'd be great. Do you have any experience doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, I did. Well, I did a few patterns for my friend who has an amazing bag line, but he ended up taking a full-time job, so like we couldn't complete it. But I'll actually show you guys that, because it's something that is usable in the real world, and I learned some lessons from doing this too. So let's see. Okay, it's under patterns. I've got two of them. Okay, melting flowers. So this one I spent probably like 40 hours working on this, and then and then this was the first time he'd worked with patterns too. So he was like, "Oh, you know what? Like, I forgot to tell you, this needs to be worked like upside down and right side up." So that's like a cool, but it actually made the design better and more interesting, you know. True. But it's like a thing to keep in mind. Like if you are working on something, like this was supposed to be for leather bags, so it would be the top flap of the bag. So it would be every side of the bag, but on the top flap, it goes from the back to the front. So it needs to work in both directions. Totally. So there's things like that you just learn by doing.
Right.
And I think if you are making patterns, it could be cool to make ones that work that way, because there could be situations where someone wants to cover something with a pattern that needs to work both ways.
Yeah, definitely. Did you learn anything otherwise, like while doing a collaboration, how to kind of maneuver that?
Yeah, it was cool because he had like his Illustrator mock-ups that designers use, you know, of what the bag would look like. And I would just like drop these in, make sure the scale was good, you know, all of that. And it was pretty cool. I definitely want to do it again, you know, and actually see it become a thing, because that's something I really want. I have stuff on Society 6,
cool.
where, you know, like a lot of things like that. But they're cool, but like there is something nice about it being like on leather or like a more high-end thing, you know, that's...
Definitely. And like a specific collection.
Exactly.
On Society 6, I can get a clock or a blanket or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips about selling stuff on Society 6 for the viewers?
To be honest, I don't know that I'm that good at it, but so I don't know if I'm in a position to give advice, but I do think it's a little tough with Society 6 because there's so many options. Like everything comes in every form. In every design you do comes in like 40 different forms. And I think that's difficult. Like on my website, I have, I think that this is a good thing because some people have bought these things. So I have something called, so this you can do with Adobe Portfolio.
Cool.
You can create custom pages. So I made this page that's called the shop, and it's very clean. It's just like images of some of the, like, this is such a small sampling of the things that you can buy on Society 6. And this way it's a little bit less overwhelming for people. I feel like if they go to my Society 6 page, they're going to just be like, whoa, I don't know. They're probably going to spend an hour just trying to decide what to buy because there's so many options.
Right.
But, like, I kind of put some of my favorite things of the moment on here. So I think this is easier for people to be like, oh, okay, I really wanted a Cat Squatch t-shirt, and just buy that without having to think about it too much.
Right.
And this like links to the thing, and there's like cards and like all this stuff. But there's way, way more than this, and almost everything I do is like available in every format. But
scary.
that's a little bit tough, like I think from a selling perspective when you have so many options, and I think curation is really important. So I tried to create like a slightly curated version on my website. So that's something you could try.
Definitely. I wonder if you guys have any experience selling things online. If you got any tips, because it's like it could be totally a great thing, way to get your stuff out there and create content and products. But if you're just your own person without a whole warehouse and factory, it's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about Society 6 is you don't need to do anything; they do it all for you.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Because it is hard. I used to sell my own T-shirts and stuff, and well, first of all, it was difficult to find the right vendor, you know, to do them, because I don't know, me being from a design background, I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this. We have high standards. It's not easy to be my vendor.
Yeah.
So like I would, if the screens are like slightly off, and it's not meant to be that style where the things are off register. You know? So like if that would happen, or the colors weren't right, or if the ink was too shiny or something, I would just be like, no, you know, you need to get this right. And so it took me a while to find the right vendors. This was in Austin. I lived in Austin. And like every city you live in, it takes a while to find that community and find the people that can do those things for you. And I did eventually find them. And things were just beginning to take off. Like I was selling really well at a store over there.
Oh, cool.
And then I moved to San Francisco. So it was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to start this all over again, you know?
Yeah. Gotcha. So you were in Austin, then San Francisco, and then New York?
Yeah.
All the artsiest cities there ever were.
Oh, there's a lot more.
No?
I think Paris would disagree.
Oh, true. Yeah, how could I forget? Oh, cool. Thanks for the awesome live stream. So instructive for artists. The best of the 3.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, there's one more to go. Don't make your decisions yet.
All right, let me actually use that one, because it's a little hard to pair with this thing.
No problem. Yeah, they say, amen, Shyama. Good vendors are hard to find.
Yes, you know the struggle. But when you do find them, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Because I used to do my own silkscreen stuff, but when you work with someone who's like really good at it, they make your work even better, you know, and it's worth going through, you know, all the steps it takes to find the right person.
Definitely. You don't want to let them go.
Yeah.
No, don't work with anyone else. Just work with
Oh,
me.
yeah. Even when I moved to San Francisco, I still did some stuff with the guys that did my like silk screens in Austin.
Yeah. Gotta foster those good relationships for sure.
Yeah, and it really is that. It's a collaboration.
So yeah, if you guys have any questions regarding art or design or how to be a freelancer or anything, or about plants, it seems like Shyama has a lot of plants at her house, let us know. We've got a little bit more time here. And then we'll be back tomorrow also. And the next day.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like I'm going pretty slow here, so I'm going to be doing some homework and finishing this up, and I'll show you guys tomorrow what comes of it.
Cool, that'll be so cool to see the progress.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know yet for sure what I'll do tomorrow, but maybe it would be good if I have this more done to show you guys how to like actually make it into a pattern in Illustrator, to make it into a swatch that you can use in the real world, you know, that you can fill any vector shape with this swatch, the pattern swatch.
So handy.
And I got to do a few patterns like that. They're on my, they're not on my website, but they are on my Instagram. And I did like one that's like of mountains and it's a vector pattern. And that one, or I could pull it up on here in a minute. That one was done in Illustrator. And actually, I think I may have used the app we were just talking about that you use it as a separate screen.
Yeah.
With the subscription. Remind me what it's
called.
The
AstroPad?
AstroPad. I use AstroPad with Illustrator to do this one. So there's so many different workflows you could use. But that was before I had really discovered Adobe Draw. It would be easier with Adobe Draw.
Right. Yeah.
To do that.
Good old Adobe Draw. Check it out. It's free. Does anybody know an app like AstroPad for Android? Can't say I do. I don't know really anything about Android, besides the fact that Draw and Sketch are available on Android.
How are we doing on time? I should just figure out what
It's 2:36. Have about 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to like make sure I show people the best things I can before we. Yeah, actually, it could be good to show this. So I'm gonna pull up in a minute that pattern I did in Illustrator to kind of like show you guys how it's done, like the next step.
Very cool. Get the whole picture.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And if you guys have any last minute questions, you can ask me now.
Because you won't get her till tomorrow. Look at me plugging Adobe like a pro. I love Adobe. Sure do. That's one issue as an artist, is just keeping all your files
Where is it?
organized.
Yeah. Well, I worked on way too many projects.
Yeah, and if you guys want to share your own Behance portfolios or your my portfolios, if you go to adobelive.com, if that's how you're watching, or if you're not, go check that out. And there's a button, I'm pretty sure it says share portfolio. Yeah, share your work with us. And also, please enter the contest that we have going on. You can do an illustration based on the theme of summer. That's what Shyama's working on and all of the other illustrators this week. You send it to us through Instagram or Twitter with the tag of Adobe Live. Make sure you use Sketch or Draw to create the illustration, and you could win a Creative Cloud subscription and some Adobe stock images. 10 people are going to win on Thursday. Thursday night. Be prepared.
Let's see. Where was it? Sorry, guys.
Good. Someone wants to know if you've been able
a lot of pressure.
find a vendor for like t-shirts or something that offers a low minimum but of actual quality.
Oh, that's online for anyone to use, not a local person?
Maybe. Yes.
I know that exists, and I've been given recommendations for that before, but I don't have any firsthand experience with that, with
Gotcha.
silkscreen. Yeah, because it is better than digital if you do. I mean, if it's vector, if your design is vector, it's better if you can get someone to do a real silkscreen. I don't remember off the top of my head, and I haven't used them myself.
It exists.
But I know it exists. But I could find out and let you guys know tomorrow.
Some homework.
is... Oh, here we go. This is it.
Someone says you can do backpacks on Society 6 now, and that they think your work would do well on that.
Yeah, I just put one of them, and actually this design would be great for that. So the one I'm pulling up right now, let me close all these. So this is what the next step would be. And
look at that.
yeah, and so this is the interface in Illustrator. It's been a little while since I've done this, so I might have to remember how to go to the individual tile. I think if you just, when I double tap it, does it go?
Oh, cool. People are giving their opinions on different companies that are good.
Oh, great.
Sweet.
Yeah, you guys would know better than me. Oh, so this has already been made into a swatch. Here, this is the way to do it. Okay. So what I just did was I tapped into the one tile. So you can see that square that's kind of in the middle. That is the one tile. And this is really cool because when you're drawing, that like, you see what is highlighted right now? That is actually the pattern. That's it. And it's just like stamping that over and over again. So
wow.
Like here, if I delete a part of it, it's going to become a little bit more clear. I'll just like delete some of this.
Ink.
And now you can see that like went away everywhere. So imagine like the reverse of that is that you draw and you see it multiply across this whole thing. And that's how you kind of zoom in and out. I love this interface because you can zoom in and out and see the big picture of the pattern, which is the hardest part of pattern design is like how do you make it look good when it repeats a whole bunch of times so it's not it doesn't have like an awkward repeat. So that would be the next step if you were drawing on Adobe Draw and you wanted to bring it into here. You would like pop in your design and test it, and then you would probably need to go back and forth a whole bunch to get it like to where it feels natural and good.
Gotcha.
But that's how basically the process I use to make this pattern. And then once you've got it, let me revert this. I don't know what I did to it. Once you've got it, then you select that. I think you just pull it into the swatches, but I'll need to retest that. I think that's how I did it.
Someone wants to know, how do you get something so irregular to repeat like that?
Well, part of it is, okay, I'm going to go back into the interface like by double tapping onto the swatch. Part of it is, this is different than the Photoshop flow. It's very different. Because it doesn't just stay within that square. Like, some of it goes towards the top and stuff like, and there's definitely going to be some tweaking that you do within Illustrator, like moving around the points to get it right. Because it's not going to just look like this right away. This is a little bit time consuming to get it to this point.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but with the pattern I'm working on right now, it's easier than this one up on the screen right now, because with the plants, you can kind of just like place them. You can move the whole plant around and stuff and make it fit. But with this one, it was a little more like everything has to flow together. So I needed to move points around individually. But you can see that like it goes out of the square, you know, and then that comes, like, I can't tap on, see where my arrow is? I can't actually tap that because
it's up top.
Because it's just a mirage. It's just like a repeat of the part that I'm actually actively working on. But it would actually be exactly the same had I done this pink shape right here. I'm gonna bring it to where that is, and well, oh wait, it should be the same. Oh, I think it must be. Oh, it is. It's still there, right? It's up there.
Yeah. But you can't move it up.
Oh,
there.
You know what? I think it is. How come I can't? I think what it is I have a background layer as well that's separate. So it might have been that there's certain layers. So if I brought it over there, it was probably underneath.
Oh, I see.
Sounds a little confusing, but once you do it, it will make sense because there's layers, and if that layer pops underneath, and that's what was happening.
Yeah. Right.
Because I have a square, like you see this big teal square. Well, that's like outside of it. And if I'm in here, now this is the actual design.
Gotcha. Oh, without the background.
Yeah, without the background. Yeah, and I think now if I were to do that, it may work.
Someone says, so if you go outside of the boundaries, it will automatically clone. And that's how you can
exactly.
Really figure out
Yeah,
how it
it's
goes.
just making a stamp of what you're doing, and it's repeating it in the configuration you choose. And see you see where my arrow is right now. I chose brick by row. Repeat and see how there's all these different options. I'll put them on. They're gonna look really bad because this isn't designed for that. But this is the basic grid. This is the layout that you would always use in Photoshop. I mean, there's the only way I know how to do it. There's probably ways to figure out all these grids in Photoshop, but I mean, I'm sure there are. But like the easy way to do it in Photoshop is the grid. But in Illustrator, you can do grid, you can do brick by row, you can do brick by column, you can do hex by column, and see how that square became a hexagon in the middle?
Yeah.
This could be cool for like more mandala type patterns, or things that radiate out like a different style.
Right.
And then there's hex by row as well. I've never even done these two bottom things, but they could be really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I'm still beginning in my pattern design. I'm just like exploring each thing deeply and then moving on to the next and experimenting.
Good way to do it. Someone says the way that they've seen it done is where you have to manually cut it out and reposition it.
Oh, yeah, that's a pain. Like,
Yikes.
This is so much easier than that. And if you're working in vector, you should totally do it in Illustrator and bring it in this way. And, you can upload anything from Adobe Draw easily. There's like a checkbox to just like send it to Creative Cloud, and then it's instantly on your computer, and then you can like and then you can create this pattern.
Yeah, and even the layers are saved. It's great.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I don't remember is how to get into this pattern interface to begin with. I think
is it
object pattern. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. Pattern show options.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're looking at right now.
There you go. And this is such a thing that you can just like play around with it and see what happens.
Yeah, and you don't have to do things that look like real stuff like what I'm doing. You can start out by doing just abstract shapes and stuff, and it'll still be really fun and maybe less intimidating, to start with that.
It might be even less intimidating. Robzilla says to do a pattern in Adobe Capture, which is basically you just take a picture and it patterns it out for you.
Yeah, it's kind of like a kaleidoscope.
Or import your draw files to Capture. Robzilla's over here, Peanut Gallery, giving us tips. He'll be back tomorrow morning. Don't you guys worry. Cool. People are saying they love the live stream. So much fun. That's awesome. Have you ever used any plugins for pattern making?
No. I would love to know about them.
People are talking about, actually, it was up in the chat. Maybe they can say it again. Some sort of pattern making. Astute Graphics, I think.
That sounds really cool. I'll write that down.
There you go.
Yeah, I never even thought to do that. That's a great tip.
Yeah. Might be really easy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that that would be a thing in Photoshop as well. Like that you'd be able to do these kind of different grids in Photoshop if you had a plugin.
Oh yeah.
So
plugins make the world go round.
Yeah.
It's true. Great tips. It's awesome. Anybody else got any questions about pattern making, designing, how to be a designer and an illustrator? It's a magical combination. Any portfolio reviews? I'm not sure. Don't have any up on the screen right now, but we'd love to get through some. What's up, Brian? I almost said Brian Rapp. Brian the Rapper. Okay, vector first aid, so it deletes redundant anchor points. That can be really helpful.
That's really cool. that would be great I'm gonna write all these down after the stream, but like that would be great if you're drawing stuff in Adobe Draw, because it does create a lot of points because it's got a very high fidelity. It's like very faithful to the line you're drawing. So that the downside of that is it creates a lot of points, and sometimes you want to simplify that. So it would be really cool to use that plugin. Just pull it into Illustrator and then
clean it up.
Do the plugin.
That'd be great. Cool. So what can we expect from you tomorrow?
Well,
the plan?
I think my original plan was to do a pattern with Adobe Sketch so that I could show you a different workflow, because this is the vector workflow, and the other one would be the raster workflow, bringing it from Sketch to into Photoshop, and you can see the advantages of Sketch too. Like, I'm going to use that watercolor brush, and we'll get like, hopefully it'll go a little faster.
Won't talk so much. Maybe.
No, it's good. Actually, I think the conversation was probably helpful and good. It was helpful for me, so I hope it was helpful. And I hope I gave you enough stuff to where you can like get started and experiment on your own. And don't feel bad if you can't get it done in 2 hours, because I couldn't either. So normally I spend like 40 hours on a thing. So like,
we don't got that kind of time.
Yeah.
We do like a 24-hour
that would be pretty boring
stream
to watch for 40 hours.
Oh my gosh.
That's another show.
Yes, true. Cool. So you're going to work through a raster workflow of pattern making tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll show you, just like today, enough to do that. And I think on the third day what I want to do is something that's a lot more easy and fun. I mean, these are fun too, but like a lot more easy, which is like the sticker creation.
Yeah.
And that'll be animation, like how to do, I'll do both Sketch and Draw on the third day, and I'll show you how to do like a fun type-based sticker, and like how I would animate that in Photoshop. I would do all the animation in Photoshop. Whether I drew it in Draw or Sketch, I would bring the frames into Photoshop and animate it.
Wow. And then it'll stop there? Will it go into actually submitting it to the App Store? Just the animation?
Well, I think I'll probably focus on the creation. Yeah, because like submitting the App Store is a long conversation.
Yeah, that's for your next YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly.
You should make your account and we can plug it so that people will be ready.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
then
that'd
there's
be easy
pressure
to do.
on you. So that you have to create.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's kind of my secret to getting everything done, is creating pressure around it. So
yeah, it's like, oh, people expect this. Dang it.
Yeah, because when you're a freelancer, there's like, I mean, on your personal stuff, nobody is telling you to get it done.
No.
So you end up just doing the stuff for clients and not getting your personal stuff done.
Yeah.
So you have to create that like false deadline.
Totally.
Not false, but make it real.
Like,
make a real deadline.
Yeah, lots of people are saying this has been amazing, interesting live stream. Now I feel like drawing. Oh, they're inspired.
Oh, good.
You're so inspiring,
That's so
Shyama.
good.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, you guys. We're going to be out of here in just a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. Please don't forget to enter the contest if you're interested, using Sketch or Draw. Make an illustration based on the idea of summer, whatever that means to you. For Rob, it meant a hippo. For Shyama, it meant some plants.
Was that based on that viral video?
What
Oh, that
viral
wasn't a
video?
hippo. That was a rhino. It was a good video that you should check out.
Different animals. Either way. Yeah, it's true. Summer, and then send it to us on Instagram or Twitter with the hashtag Adobe Live, and you could win Creative Cloud subscription for a year or some stock images from Adobe Stock. And it's not an and, it's not an or, it's an and 10 people are gonna win that, so don't forget to enter that. People are wondering what kind of forest we're in. They want to go to there. It's magical.
It's a New Zealand forest.
Ooh, it says there's a bird on my shoulder. It's kind of scary. I don't want to be in this forest. I'm creeped out.
Yeah, it's a good thing it's not moving. It would have been like pecking you.
Yeah. Cool, and you guys should definitely stick around. We got one more stream to go, and then we'll be back in the morning. Very cool. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.